We All Juggle Knives coming at you with this Luftwaffe survival machete. This is a replica, a reproduction of a blade, historical blade from World War II. The blade length is 16 1/4 inches. The steel is unlisted, but they say it is a high carbon steel. Okay, so an unknown high carbon steel. You see full flat grind. You see the metal guard. All right, you see the tang there, the hardwood pinned handle scales. All right, and there you see the thickness at the spine there. All right, and that is a blued finish. They say that is a blued finish. Also a blued finish on the sheath itself. Metal sheath, but then it has cloth, right, belt loop and retaining strap here. Right, so that is the sheath that it comes with. Now be advised, this is going to come covered in grease. Both the sheath and the machete come absolutely covered in grease to protect it from rust in storage. You're going to have to clean that off. All right, that's the deployment. Right, so that is the sheath that it comes with. Okay, so before we go further, we need to discuss the differences between light or medium machetes versus a heavy machete versus a hatchet. And I think of things like this. The light machetes are for light vegetation, all right, clearing a trail for many miles. The reason they're so light, so that your arm doesn't get tired. The thickness on those, it's often around 1/10 of an inch. Okay, they're very flexible. Some of them you can bend them into a U shape. So light machetes for soft vegetation. The hatchet, obviously it's a specialized chopping implement. If you wanted to chop a fairly thick branch, hatchet would be the way to go. So where does this Luftwaffe survival machete fit in? Oh, there's a hornet. He wants to be a YouTube star. All right, where does this machete fit in? You know, it's in the middle. It's substantially thicker than those light machetes next to it. Okay, it might have a similar blade shape, but it is substantially thicker, and it's about 1.5 pounds. So more mass, more thickness. So not only can it take on light vegetation, but it can take on saplings, branches. If you absolutely had to, you know, even a small to medium-sized tree, if you had to. Not as good as an axe, but you know, it's in between the hatchet and the light machete. It's a multi-purpose tool. All right, at this time, let's roll in some footage. First chopped up part of that branch. That is a branch that fell down in a very heavy storm we had. Then a little bit of batoning. All right, so what do I think of the Luftwaffe survival machete? Well, pretty awesome, I would say. You know, even though it approaches the mass of a light hatchet, the edge geometry and the grind geometry are different, okay? A hatchet has a very broad edge, and this comes to, you know, it's very fine, right? So a hatchet, you know, it tends to just explode, almost explode what it hits, parting it, whereas this more tends to penetrate deeply into what it hits. Okay, so you got to chop with this a little different than you would chop with a hatchet, but in a pinch, this can take on you know, smaller trees or thicker branches pretty well. Now you might say, why don't you chop up some, you know, soft vegetation with it too? It can do that. It does have the length, but the bottom line is something like this is never going to break just from soft vegetation. So I wanted to show it actually doing something that would be more difficult for it. How would this fare in a hand-to-hand? It would be pretty brutal. It has the reach, and yeah, I'm guessing it would be a two-hit affair. The first hit goes for a hand or an arm or a leg, and then once they're vulnerable, the next hit, well, it's not going to go through a helmet, right? So the next hit is probably going through the collarbone or side of the neck, and that would be all she wrote. So yeah, this would be pretty fearsome. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed seeing this. This has been We All Juggle Knives. I'm out.